was not a big fan of these people on the outskirts of town. Some I don't know. It's like a swamp may have been included, and so on. So this king was not a big fan of this area. So he sent all these people, these creatures out to this area. And he said, no, y'all aren't staying in the kingdom, y'all are out in this area. And so one of the land that he got sent to, these creatures got sent to, he wasn't a big fan of this. So he went to go confront the king.
Were you starting?
Yeah, I'm telling a story real quick.
Are we live?
So in this though, the king, they weren't a big fan of the king. So he goes to the king, the castle, and confronts him. Ends up winning like a boxing match.
Here's your microphone.
So in the he wins the boxing match, and then so the king sends him out to find this princess.
What are you talking about?
And so the princess, hold on, let me finish. Let me finish this story. So the king sends out this creature to go find this princess. And so he agrees to, because if he goes and gets this princess, then all these creatures will leave his house. And so as he's doing that, he goes to this castle. The princess is in the castle. He has to go rescue. And then there's a dragon at his castle.
Are you talking about Shrek?
And as he's doing that, he saves this princess from the castle, and they have to take the journey back to the king's castle. And on the journey back, they fall in love. The king, the princess, and the creature.
Dude, hurry up.
And as they were
Are you
coming
telling
back,
me we're live right now and we're
Yes.
listening to this?
All right.
Sorry,
It
you
was
guys.
Shrek.
I'm so sorry.
Hey,
and then she turned into an ogre. The creatures
I also did not
were
realize that
animals.
we were live.
let us know you're here, please. Just let us know, so we're not doing this to an empty room.
Bryce was the only one that caught on at first. He peeked around
I
the corner.
thought it was
Yeah,
Shrek, and then I was like, I'm not gonna say it yet.
We look super purple.
I know. Makes me look like my skin popping, actually. Not gonna
True.
lie. Oh, no.
So here's how this is gonna work.
I saw
Lexi
5 people were
and
watching
Liz
on YouTube, so.
are gonna ask us some questions about our lives, and then we're gonna eat these spicy hot wings. This is a total ripoff of one of our favorite shows, Hot Ones. Shout out Hot Ones.
Shout out to the In sauces.
Shout out Sean.
Shout out Sean Evans. We're homies.
But
Yeah.
so what we're gonna do is Lexi's gonna and
Hey,
Liz are
Grace.
gonna ask us some questions, and we're gonna try to answer these while not trying to vomit. We have some different sauces here. Okay, these are from least spicy to most spicy. Okay, so as the more we go, the spicier they're gonna be.
Spicy, yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, you're good.
Did I say it wrong?
No, you said most spicy. I thought you were going to say spiciest,
Oh, my bad.
but
So this one is not gonna be spicy, and it's gonna go from like not like kind of good tasting to just like
you
extremely hot.
think you're going to
All
die.
right. So we have got the nastiest wings I think ever bought. They were in the frozen section at Diamonds, which is never good. But
Very rubbery.
very rubbery.
I had one bite of one, no sauce.
So
It almost slipped out of my mouth when I tried to bite it because it's so rubbery.
So we've wanted to do this for a while. Well, John's been putting it off because he hates spicy stuff.
Is Bryce coming too?
Yeah, Bryce is gonna come.
Bryce is
He's
just
kind of
working the
He's
camera.
working the camera right now.
He's our
Okay.
camera guy.
All right. So
Don't steal my coat.
let's start.
Yeah, you need.
Bring us our first wing.
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the
This is classic.
classic hot sauce. And while we're digging into these,
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. That
Those
doesn't
look nasty.
That doesn't
I know, they
gross.
look
Y'all
disgusting.
probably can't
Did
see
you
this, but
cook those?
Yeah, yeah, we did.
Put them in the oven for 50 minutes.
Yeah, these are gross.
We made some chicken
So-
nuggets just in case, though.
Y'all, whoever's got the first question, just
Yuck.
bottoms
We
up.
have to eat first, though.
yeah.
And then
All right.
ask
Yeah,
the
bottoms
question.
up.
Wait, hold on. We gotta wait for Bryce.
Come on, Bryce.
Hurry up, Bryce.
All right, as you're walking over
I hate
here,
not being
here's your
able to
first
see us, too,
question.
I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
Because
You
I'm
want to put us up on the screen?
terrified of how I.
It's okay. It's all right, bro.
Grace is here.
Don't be self-conscious.
So I also didn't realize that you have to create a channel to be able to be in the chat.
No, you don't.
Oh, that's what my thing said.
Who said?
That's what my I was trying to get on to
Oh.
say something.
Bottoms up, Bryce. Bottoms
Oh,
up.
are we doing it?
Yeah.
Cheers. Oh.
Yeah.
Are we tapping wings?
Yeah.
All right.
why
What?
not?
That's only
First question, as you bite into this delicious
That's gross.
wing, is how do you guys know each other?
Oh, that's a good question.
That was a good question.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
You like it?
I mean, it's good sauce.
That's pretty hot, actually, for the first one.
It's pretty good, but it's just
They're
the
already
chicken.
crying.
It's just the chicken.
Right?
The chicken kind of ruins it. Not gonna
So,
lie.
yeah. So, I've known John and Bryce for a long time. I was Bryce's D now leader when he was like 8th grade.
8th grade.
I've known John since he was like kindergarten.
So,
So
Both VA guys, VA all the way.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how we've just developed friendship, and
Yeah.
these
We-
guys just really look up to me, and I feel honored to be.
Okay.
I feel honored to be here,
Okay.
honestly.
You
All
say
right.
that, but I mean, you were,
that could
in a lot of
be
ways,
a
you were a mentor to me
fairy
for a
tale.
very long time and still are.
Dang it, Bryce. Got
Yeah,
really
serious.
serious first question.
Bryce and I interned here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
2.
Bryce is still an intern.
I wouldn't call myself.
We haven't
a-
talked about that yet.
True.
But
How do y'all know each other?
He's
I
saying.
mean, I think pretty much the same thing. We grew up.
Yeah.
Shout
it-
out VA.
But it's
We-
also like family friends too, because our parents
Family
always got
friends.
along, and you know how it is. You know,
Yeah.
the friends or parents become friends during youth soccer practice,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how it started.
Bryce and I didn't start hanging out though until
Wait, how good were you at soccer, John?
I could have gone pro if I didn't tear my ACL.
Whatever.
Blew out my knee in the welding accident.
All right, that wasn't bad. Bring us the
Okay.
next wing.
Ooh,
Okay.
jeez.
Do it now.
I know.
The
Give me
wing
the
is
wings.
terrible, but
We
the sauce is good.
Almost slipped out of my
Just
mouth.
lick
again.
the sauce.
This one, I'm
I'm
not
not excited about this one.
Does it smell bad?
This is It's a
Yeah.
honey chipotle,
I think all these smell bad.
which the honey. Yeah, he needs his plate.
My bad.
The honey, you can grab your own if you want, Bryce. I'm not gonna. I'm
Y'all
not
ready for
excited
the
about this
next
one.
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
This one
Okay.
has least sauce. I'm happy.
What is one movie that you would want to live in and why?
One what?
One
movie.
movie you'd want to live in.
I think we kind of talked about this earlier.
You
National,
want Shrek?
National Treasure would have been an interesting time.
National Treasure is real life. The only difference is a treasure.
John's just gonna say national treasure to any question. He always responds with national. What did I ask the other day and you said national
No.
treasure?
I don't know.
No,
That's terrible.
that is a terrible.
It's
sauce.
not even
God.
spicy.
No, it's not.
It's not. This is not
I'm not
good.
eating that.
So sauce
That one
is
was hotter
bad.
than this one.
What's wrong with the sauce?
Yeah, John, it's like, what's your favorite Bible verse? Nick Cage.
Wait, hold on, hold on. Favorite what?
No movie.
No,
you
like
wanna
one
be
movie you would want to live in.
Oh,
It's a skimmer hole.
Am I?
Okay, wait. Can I have like a question? Do I get the same powers as the people?
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
That's kind of what I was basing my.
Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Yo,
What?
we're talking.
You wanna be a
power,
hobbit
I'm gonna be honest. I would do Harry Potter. instead of that.
If I'm
No.
okay,
Jace is a
Legolas.
hobbit.
put me
Freaking
in the
elf.
Star Wars. Put me in Star Wars.
Put me in the Star
I
Wars.
chose Harry Potter, so we're all different people.
In the Star Wars.
Put me in the wars. What
I
about you,
would.
Bryce?
So all three of us did some sort of.
Wait, what'd you
fantasy
say?
movie.
I would do Harry Potter.
Interesting. Okay.
You chose
Oh, I'm
Star
not saying
Wars.
that to you. I'm saying that to all three of you.
There's pepper in my nose. Why?
Wait,
All right.
we chose Lord of the Rings, Star
Wait,
Wars, and Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter.
You singled me out as the nerd.
Wait,
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, yeah.
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers?
Yeah.
Meg.
All right,
Wait,
so
so
we're
you wanna
going
go back?
boneless wing this
Meg
time.
would know.
To the
Are we doing the
50s?
nugs now?
Boneless wing.
Good.
This is mine. So Lexi, what's your question?
All right. Next question. What has been your favorite Halloween costume?
That
Or
that I
most
personally wore.
embarrassing Halloween costume?
It's not bad.
That was good.
What flavor is that?
How come we chose the worst food to pair this with, though?
What? Chicken
Thai,
nuggets?
Thai chili. The
Nice.
Thai chili wing. That's good.
Shout out Thai chili.
I'd eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not a big fan of the chicken nuggets right now and the wings. Honestly, that's.
What? The
That's
chicken
all-
nuggets are great. I eat those every night.
But like,
Jace is a
know.
2-year-old.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be what I wore. Okay.
Most
year,
embarrassing or favorite
My-
or
My
both.
favorite is
Funniest.
I dressed as The Rock one year
Yeah, that was a good one.
in the full-on turtleneck chain necklace.
That was good. The Facebook post or the Instagram post was legendary.
That's my favorite.
I'm gonna say when I think I was 8 or 9. I couldn't decide between being Michael Jordan or Batman, so I just did both. So I had.
No.
Oh, Christ.
This bottle's been tilting, and I've been messing with it the entire time, trying to make it not do that.
So I was a Batman,
you
Michael
were-
Jordan. For
That's interesting.
that's probably my favorite.
It's kind of
costume.
impressive, but I'm.
But I'm the same thing every year. I'm dirt. I just wear a dirt jersey. So
Wah
that's kind of
wah
boring.
wah. Jace is lame. Bryce is probably lame too.
One year I went as one of the members of the Fronis brothers, which is Jonas Brothers with afros.
Okay.
That was fun. And then the next year I went in a ghillie suit and a murder mask and scared people by jumping out
Oh,
of
that's fun.
That's total Bryce.
That's
That's
a Bryce
fun.
move.
All right.
Wait. I really wanted John to tell us about his childhood costume when he dressed up
As
as.
the grandma.
No.
I dressed up
No,
as
not that.
I dressed up as a grandma one time.
I wasn't even
Wait,
thinking
which
of that.
one?
I was thinking about when you dressed up as Wendy from Wendy's.
Oh no,
John.
I forgot
Don't
about
tell
that.
me.
I was like,
We'll
how
post
old
it
are
on the
you?
story later.
I've got the picture right
Oh,
here. I just can't show y'all.
Post it on FBCVA students.
Okay.
Ah, yikes.
Send it out
Why
in a group
not?
text.
Okay, go
All
for
right.
it. Yeah, I don't know why.
How old were you?
I was.
All right,
I
go
was
to-
middle school.
Yeah, he was middle school.
I was middle school. I wore it to D now. Because remember when we
That-
used- we
that's
used-
what
we
I
used
have
to
the picture from.
we
It's
used to
D
have,
now. But this is the costume.
Did you post it?
I'm going to. I'm posting it to stories.
These aren't that
Yeah.
bad right now.
No.
They're gonna get real hot
the
real fast.
peach-
though.
Yeah,
habanero,
it's about
though.
to peak.
We're
right
about to
here.
go up a level.
All right,
We
I'll
got
do
the
it.
boneless one.
I'll do it
Wait.
in a sec.
Okay.
Yeah, that has some on there.
It does?
It's on the other side.
I may put some more.
Yeah,
This is
go
mine.
for it. Dump it a little bit more.
Which one is this? This
The
guy?
middle
Peach.
one.
Yeah.
We hit the halfway point.
Oh, from Bucky's.
But yeah, Bucky's. Shout out Bucky's.
Bucky's
You want some-
literally
you want some more on this,
provided
John?
for the sauce.
all five out of the 7.
You
Yeah,
want
I want
some?
some more. Put some more on there. I haven't taken a sip of my milk or
John,
water
John.
yet.
Yeah, but we're not even halfway through, so
Yeah.
I just got like pepper.
Are we
on my
trying to
nose.
avoid taking sips of the water?
I just got
Go
pepper in my
for it.
nose. That was weird.
Go for it.
Okay, this
Uh,
question you kind of have to like. It's really kind of worded weird,
All right.
but what is one article of clothing that someone would wear that would make you walk out on a date with them?
That'd make you.
Oh, walk out.
Yeah. Like if they showed up in this article of clothing, you'd just be like, no, and you'd leave.
That has a delayed kick. Very much so.
Very, very peachy.
Very peachy. This is the peach habanero, by the way.
You know, I think if a girl came in hammer pants.
Nah, that's a keeper.
Well, no, it's just like you're on a different level of like social skills and energy that I just can't handle.
That really,
Probably-
that's bold, and I respect it if they went in hammer pants.
Probably my least favorite article of clothing is the Roman soldier sandals. You know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
I don't like
Like
those
those, like,
either.
knee
Those are
high
You
weird.
would walk
Sandals.
out.
Yeah, I'd walk out. Avery's about to walk into a live stream.
Hey.
Hi, Avery.
Hey, we thought we were just doing this for
I
fun.
know.
But I think I'd walk out. I'm pretty sure because those just bother me.
Yeah.
They bother me too, though. Those are weird.
I think.
Yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense.
I don't know exactly, but it'd have to be some sort of shoe.
Yeah.
Like, cause clothes, like I don't know, that really like MC Hammer pants. That'd be so funny. But like shoes, yeah, if they just came in like
Suit and tie.
that actually, yeah, that'd probably.
Like, I
be it.
think
That'd
we
be it.
got off on the wrong foot here. What about you,
All
Bryce?
right. Oh,
Bryce
Bryce.
would
What, oh, he
I
said,
said
hammer
him, but I
pants.
could
What did
also
you
see
say?
it's
See hammer
something like
pants.
Something shoe related.
Yeah,
I don't
something
know.
like-
I don't know specifically what like.
You wouldn't know until she walked in. You'd be
Yeah.
like, nope.
That's not. Yeah.
The
it's
Roman
not.
soldier sandals, worst fashion accessory of all time.
maybe like
I'm gonna-
fuzz line Crocs.
If they walked in with like you know how like they have like the girls that take pictures like with like the flowers around their head, Like if it was like first date and they walked in with flowers, I'd be like,
And the
You would
sandals.
dig it.
not
Shush.
first date.
Not first date.
All right, boys.
Sorry.
That's,
This is the habanero
Second, at least.
wing
Second
sauce.
Oh, you.
I
you
drenched
loaded that
it.
up.
Because I want to take this up to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
I'm terrified about the next
Yeah,
one.
I'm starting to feel it a little bit.
Which
That
one are we
pizza's
on?
pretty hot.
Yeah.
This
This
is
one?
really hot.
This one
Crap. Yeah.
Smells terrible.
Smells
looks
terrible.
looks like buffalo.
Buffalo's the
See if
greatest
it
sauce
tastes
of all
like
time.
bread.
Change my
Buffalo.
mind.
No, it's not.
Whole wing.
Yeah.
This tastes like mango habanero.
that's
Don't
right.
touch
That's
your
it.
eyes.
That's pretty
That's
hot.
the one.
Mango habanero, Buffalo Wild Wings. Mango habanero is the
This
best
is
sauce.
hotter
of all
than
time.
that.
Ooh,
For
this
sure.
is the one.
This is the one.
Hotter than mango habanero from Wild Wings?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No.
My face is hot.
I get that every single time.
My ears are burning.
What's
you
our
starting
question?
to sweat?
What's our question?
All right.
Finish it,
Question
Dom.
number something.
I don't know what number.
What if you could pick one person? This person could be dead or alive to have dinner with. Who would it be?
I know John's answer.
Is that a
All right, I'm
female?
going to give you two answers.
Nicholas Cage.
I'm going to give you
No.
two answers.
Listen, that guy.
No, John.
That guy's fascinating.
That can't be your. That can't be your answer.
That's pretty hot, dude.
Yeah, that. I failed.
Woo!
Is this all you had
Are
to
we
drink?
not supposed to drink the
milk
water?
in?
Because I've just been sipping on it.
No, that's just what John wanted.
Okay. Can I give you one real and one fake? Or not fake, but like one serious and
Okay.
non-serious?
Yeah. You'd have dinner
My
with me.
serious one.
Oh,
Jesus.
Nah.
Jesus.
It's Tim Keller.
Serious one is Tim Keller. Who's that?
That.
Who's Tim Keller?
He's pastor.
I can't breathe.
Tim Keller's a pastor.
It just makes it hotter.
You'll realize this is going to last for like an hour.
Now I realize why they do that on the show. When they go like that, it's like
Jace's
that.
eyes are watery.
should
Oh,
have-
so is John's.
I know. We should have started
Straight up.
early and then ended with this.
Yes. You guys, yes.
Uh.
Why did we do this?
All right.
I don't know my second one. Probably, I don't know,
Can they be fake?
Martin Luther King.
What? You would have did it with a fake person?
Like a character in a movie.
Like a mannequin.
I can't even laugh. That hurts. Like Goodwill, like Will Hunting.
I'm laughing.
Will Hunting.
Oh no. Bryce, tell us your answer first.
I'll give two because I
So
wouldn't
you
be able
just
to
meant
decide
like a.
either the living William Lane Craig or the since passed Thomas Aquinas.
Okay, tell us who those
Yeah.
people are.
Right, so those people are not famous.
They're some of the most intelligent people I've ever seen.
So you want to eat dinner with smart people. So does Jace.
I
I said Martin Luther King.
John wants to eat dinner with a mannequin.
No, I
Now,
didn't say mannequin.
if
I was
we're-
this guy.
If we're saying fake people, Uncle Iroh.
Yes.
Who's that?
Stop it.
I don't like
If you
it.
know, you know.
You,
Oh,
you know, you know.
You know, you know.
Honestly, I'm just like, I would love to sit down and talk with David Platt.
Yeah, that'd be a
Shout
good
out.
one.
Dude,
Shout
that
out David
sauce
Platt. He
was
spoke to us
awesome.
last night.
Yeah,
What was this?
I would too.
That's habanero.
Okay.
But I
He's
put a
so
lot.
bad.
Y'all
Where'd you
ready?
get this from?
Ew, that one.
This one looks.
That would stain the chicken.
Ew, y'all.
I'm not looking forward to this.
Yo, that's messed
So this
up.
is our
It's like a
blueberry,
blueberry.
ghost pepper.
Yeah.
And now our
It-
chicken is purple.
Okay, it looks good in the bottle, but it does
But
not.
yeah.
look
Yeah,
good
when I
there.
poured it, it wasn't good looking.
Shout out to this one.
Yeah.
John, you done?
Stop mixing it with the other ones.
Oh, that smells awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
You realize that these next two were about to be like
Yeah,
four
they're
My
times as
tongue
bad.
still hurts.
Oh, is
I'm
it
about
my
to drink
turn?
my milk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have y'all drank y'all's milk yet?
No.
Shoot. I'm gonna cave.
If you could bring back any fashion trend, what would it be?
I don't think you want to ask me this.
I am like the least fashionable person of all time.
It's very true.
Bryce wants cargo pants.
Honestly, let's say
Cargo pants to be
Cargo
acceptable
pants.
again.
Cargo pants are efficient.
All right, ready? Let's do this.
So cargo
Blueberry.
pants. I wish you had better wings.
Yeah, this wing's is terrible.
Your wing looks nasty.
They all
That's
do.
really hot. And gross.
I think I
Uh-oh.
got a good bite. Nope, I did. It's hot now.
Yeah.
These wings taste so bad.
Yeah.
Can we get the nuggets for the next one?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
Well, not yet,
awesome.
but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The last dab. Okay, fashion trend that I bring back.
Oh, that's got a slow kick.
Yeah, it's kicking me.
Look at John.
Fashion trend that I would bring back.
You're almost out of that water.
I don't know. I really don't know. What's in and what's out right now? What do I wear? Do I wear anything that's out? Because if it's out, that's what I want in.
That's a good one.
Let's go back a few questions. MC Hammer pants.
Yeah, I know, John. I was waiting for you to say that.
I wore those during Nerd Prom.
Yeah,
or-
you love those.
Holy cow.
Hot pink ones.
It's just the lips that burn.
Yeah, my lips are on fire.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, your lips are red.
I would probably want visors.
It tastes good by itself.
Visors are not cool.
Visor.
All right,
really-
I'm going for the milk.
This really does taste good by itself.
But I liked visors.
And a chili cup.
All right, I did the milk.
Nope, that didn't help.
Do these? I mean, y'all can probably tell if they need more sauce or not.
We're putting more sauce on those.
No.
Oh, I am not, bro.
Dude, I want this to be a good experience.
All right, Bryce. Put,
What do you
put
mean?
more
I'm there,
on.
bro. I got the experience.
it.
I'm good. All right,
Do you
last
care if I
dab.
use some more of this?
We got a last dab it.
I have like a couple more.
Dude, you're dying. Don't touch your eyes, man.
I see
Don't touch
tears.
your eyes.
We got a last dab this boy.
Give me the whole gallon.
Oh, this is.
I'm really happy I'm not doing this right now.
know.
I'm sweating.
Eyes
my
are
head.
watering.
I know. John's like
feet are
crying.
sweating,
I see
I can see the
tears.
sweat in your body. Ew.
You
We
get more?
know Bryce is not
Dude,
phased.
that stain, that wing, that is gross.
Last
I think
dab.
this one looks disgusting.
There's already some on there.
I know, but you got to do last dab like the show.
Oh.
Like the show.
John, this one's going to be significantly worse.
Oh, I've had
Oh.
this one before.
Dude, you're getting numb. You're
You
getting numb-dumb.
guys.
All right, what's the question?
What does that mean?
I'm gonna.
Oh, you want me
Last
to-
dab. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay.
I
Question.
legit haven't seen
Hit it, boys.
haven't seen
Hey, hey, hey.
Here's
come
my
on.
serious question. Are you
Yeah.
ready?
Oh, serious? While we're doing this?
Serious. Yep. He always does a serious one at the end. What would you wish you would have done differently in your school days? What's
Trying to
something
relay this back.
you would have done
Are we
differently?
eating whole hand?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh my. That is hot.
I'm gonna go ahead and need the milk. I'm gonna be honest. Like Bryce, I need the milk.
I would want to study more.
Study more.
I don't know how to
I
answer
spent
that
too
question.
much trying in school. Don't try at school.
Tears
what
are
level of
rolling
school are we
down.
talking
If you
about?
can't
Like
see,
high school,
Bryce
middle
is
school?
I would want
yes,
to
he's crying. There's a
He's
tear
I
right
want
here.
to go somewhere
I
where I didn't have to
know.
be youth pastor so I can have to do this.
Oh my gosh.
That's mine.
That's his.
Give me my other one. Please.
I mixed some last dab in there.
That's hot, dude. That's real hot.
John, you're like shaking right now.
Seriously, if I could go back, I would use the actual time at school to like actually study. Oh my gosh, every time I talk, it's
Why?
You almost made me laugh.
and not just get by.
Do you need
know
another
what I'm saying?
napkin?
I just don't want to get by. I just
Oh.
want to.
You would rather excel?
Yeah.
Like you
no.
wish you actually learned. You wish you would have learned more intently what you were studying?
Yes.
I don't need 'em. I'm good.
Bryce, how?
I need more milk.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm out.
You're going to throw up.
Why isn't it going away?
Let me see your tongue. His tongue is shaking.
His whole body is shaking right now.
I hate spice.
Oh, you guys. That's
Why is it not going
awful.
away though?
I don't know.
Do we have more nugs?
Hope I never get famous.
we
for
have these
asking
wings.
on hot ones.
I want to make it hot.
Okay. Combine other sauces
Am I,
and
I'm
see how it
having-
tastes.
What does that say? I can't read it.
Where'd last
John
dab
is
go?
having the time of his life.
No, I'm not.
John is crying.
Oh, it's already got a lot on there.
Oh. Hot ones, you guys.
What do I do? It's not going away.
I don't know.
Bryce, how you feeling?
Pretty spicy.
Oh my gosh.
hate this
Oh my.
This guy.
Okay.
We went to Pluckers.
Okay, so what we're gonna do next is y'all are gonna talk, and John and I are gonna go.
Die.
Y'all gotta have some banter. while we
Bryce,
get
you
ready.
you like spicy food?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, I can't do this.
Nope.
Clean
is
this
terrible.
off. Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
This is
Avery,
terrible.
Avery, help us clean this. I don't want this spicy.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yuck.
Hold on, guys.
Do you want your milk, Jace?
What's it called?
Where's the lid?
John, what are you
I
drinking
would have
back there?
definitely picked a Coke.
You just chugging water?
I would have picked a Coke for my drink of choice. What would have been your drink of choice, Liz? Not water.
Oh, definitely not water for
You're really not
this.
supposed to mix soda. It's spicy.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I've done that
you
before.
said not
It-
to mix soda and
It
spicy.
tastes better.
Is about
I
to
like
kill me.
it.
Oh.
Whenever
Like,
you
I don't
mix the
care.
carbonation in, it like burns more.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, yeah, I would definitely use milk,
I'm
but
gonna go wash my hands out.
Let me
would
get-
not,
where's my
that would
Bible?
not be my first choice
Oh, it's over there.
because I don't like milk.
I realized once I got here that I forgot my notes.
Oh,
That's okay.
Classic.
I remember.
Somewhere.
Sure.
Just, I don't know. You can put it on the table or in the fridge or something. Let me get.
all right, you guys. I think that once we can gather together, need to all try the
Did you
last dab sauce, the triple X, whatever that thing is.
I don't even know. It smells disgusting. It looks
Oh.
disgusting.
You know what?
this your
We got 5 people. All right, what's a question, you guys, that you would have asked John and Bryce and Jace if you were the question askers?
Askers. That's John.
Let me read these comments real quick. You better not get sick. Yeah, I think that Bryce eats spicy food a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why he was able to endure that.
Yeah, John was saying that he probably wasn't going to be phased this entire time.
John was?
Or, yeah, John was saying that
was
about
saying
Bryce. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I go to Pluckers and get mild because I'm a wimp. Plus, I like the taste.
I'm a wimp too. I don't like anything spicy.
Scooch me in.
There we go.
I like spice, but not to where I'm crying. That's not
Yeah.
enjoyable to me. I don't
It's
want to
not.
cry when I eat my food. Why
even
does
like-
anybody choose to do
I
that?
don't know.
It's not. Well, maybe that's a guy-girl thing.
I
'cause
guess.
I would never.
I don't even like pepper.
Pepper?
Pepper's spicy to me.
Dang it, I'm gonna have to tell him that now, Liz.
I know.
Liz doesn't like pepper. Too spicy.
It is too spicy.
So would you pick Buffalo Wild Wings or Pluckers or Wingstop if you could go somewhere?
I just say Buffalo Wild Wings. 'Cause I've been there the most. I don't think I've ever had Plucker's wings before. I know.
Uh-oh.
Or Wingstop.
What about you guys? Buffalo Wild Wings, B-dubs, Pluckers, or Wingstop? So we used to do the whole Buffalo Wild Wings after Friday night games, and then Pluckers came, and that was a while after. But that was all there was. And now looking back, I would never go to Buffalo Wild Wings
Really?
ever again. There's no meat in the wing. I get boneless, by the way. There's no meat in the wing. The sauce ratio is terrible. The flavor is worse. There's just no reason to go there. Pluckers is amazing. I get the wingless basket. Or wingless. Boneless
I knew what you
basket.
meant. I was just like,
The
yeah.
wingless basket. And it's real good, but I have to get mild. One time I got one that was supposed to be mild, and it was not mild. And I even had Jace eat it, and it was making me cry.
Yeah.
And so they gave me new wings.
I always
So
get
Liz
honey
has never
barbecue.
been to Pluckers.
No, I've been to Pluckers. I just
Oh.
haven't had their wings.
Oh,
My stomach feels gross.
sorry.
I feel like I could throw up at any second.
You know what? I think we can stop using these.
These? Oh yeah, 'cause that
Can
one.
we?
You can do either one. Oh, that's not very loud.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
We said Buffalo Wild Wings, Pluckers, or Wingstop. Which one?
Pluckers has the best sauce.
I agree. And wings. Like actual
Wingstop.
wing.
I think boneless though.
Wingstop? Why?
Because it tastes better.
Okay.
No.
You know what? I like the Roost too. In town?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I've had their wings.
We're squished in here.
Yeah, it's okay.
They've got ice chips that they're sucking on. Delish.
I'll probably need that, and y'all can use that one in a minute.
John, you
This
want
one?
this
Okay.
I haven't had it. You want that?
For later.
Lexi, can you introduce the topic? Because my
Yeah.
mouth is very hot,
Jace is still
and I
curling.
can't talk.
Yeah, today we're talking about evangelism, basically what that is and how to do it, etc. So let's start with that first question of what is evangelism and why is it evangelism a spiritual habit? So what is evangelism?
Can they hear without us talking into
I
it?
think so.
Okay.
You guys can hear us, right?
You have
Move
to
a
turn it
little
up pretty loud.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at John.
I'm good.
Guys, John's mouth is blistered for real. I looked. I thought he was lying, and I looked in there, and it was.
Sucks.
I don't know what I've been doing, but like my cheek is, what is it like? You know when it gets all.
It's going down.
It's because you. Okay, this is
I
a
wouldn't do
great
that.
poll for everybody.
No,
here.
we've already talked about this. I know what you're gonna say. Shh. Let's
Wait-
keep moving
wait,
on
what's
to
the poll?
evangelism.
Lexi eats sunflower
We
seeds
already talked
inside,
about this.
and it's
I
a
know
very.
it's gross.
it's
I
a-
don't care.
It's a hard point for our marriage. It's just like
Just things you do that I
just
don't
go
like.
outside and eat
It's
them
called
at a baseball game. You know.
while
unconditional
driving.
love.
We'll watch a movie or TV show.
It's the best.
Pack of sunflower seeds
just
in a
hear
You know
cup.
why? It's because I'm addicted to salt and
It's not good for you.
I'm probably deficient in something. So
Okay, what is
anything
evangelism?
kills me.
How did we get on that topic?
I don't know. You did it.
Oh, mouth with blister.
Mm.
So what is evangelism, Bryce? Since you have taste buds of steel.
He does.
So it takes on a lot of different forms, but generally speaking, it's whenever you gear your words and your actions around intentionally sharing the gospel with someone. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to share it in that moment. And I'm also not saying it's like, I will show them the gospel through my actions alone. There's a lot of people who say that, and it's wrong. Because your actions don't tell someone explicitly what the gospel is. And so we have to articulate it. But it's whenever your actions and your words around winning someone over to Christ. And so sometimes that looks like befriending and maybe saying, hey, like, how you doing for real? And perhaps leading that into a spiritual conversation. Or it's just saying, hey, this is who Jesus is and this is why he's important to you. And so it's just any time that you're intentionally pursuing those kind of conversations or pursuing the things that will lead to those kind of conversations.
Yeah, that's good. I like how you said it's not just action, but it's not just words. It's both, and I think part of that is I really can't think. I'm struggling.
Okay, like Liz said, we should have done that at the end.
It's like I want to say things, but my mouth doesn't work.
It's numb.
It's about being a witness. And you're being a witness not only with your words, but with your actions.
Yeah.
Somebody else talk now.
I like what you said though about how people use that as a cop out. Like, I'll just, what is the saying? I'll
Share the gospel.
share the gospel
If necessary, use words.
Yeah, use words.
Yeah, that's what.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's in the book I'm reading right now. It said that's the saying: the preach the gospel at all times, use words if necessary. And it says, doesn't that sound cool? But the problem is that it's not biblical or even logical. It's like saying, feed the hungry, if necessary, use food.
And think about if Christ had done that. If he came down and was like, I'm just going to show you by my actions, you know? No, he showed by actions and by word. You know what I mean? Like, he did both. And they're both necessary because you can't just. What I think, if we're thinking of context with evangelizing, sharing our faith, sharing the person of Jesus with someone, sharing what we believe with them, we think of context. So for you guys, the majority of you, middle school, high school, are that's who you're probably evangelizing to the most, or who you're around the most. And so you're gonna talk to them probably differently than with your parent or whoever else it might be, you know what I mean, about sharing your faith. So thinking of who you're sharing it with is important. And obviously we're modeling Christ, but I think we talk about your questions about spiritual disciplines, but what why do you think we oftentimes don't share our faith, don't share what we know about God? What are some things that keep us from sharing?
I think just fear
Yeah.
in general. When it comes to evangelism, I think a lot of us think that there's like a specific script that we have to stick to. Like, hey, I'm gonna tell you about Jesus, and that's not really it. That'd be weird if somebody came up to you and was just like, hey, I'm a Christian. And you're like, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's not how you have a relationship with
Right,
someone, right?
right.
Like, as a Christian, I feel uncomfortable when people do that to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the there's a place for it. There really is. But generally speaking, that is not a good way to introduce it. It's just, it makes you feel uncomfortable immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Fear. I also just don't think people know
Mm-hmm.
that it is commanded by to us to do this. When I heard about evangelism growing up, I just thought this was for the pastors. I thought it was for the church. I didn't know it was for me and my school to go to my friends and evangelize my non-believer friends and evangelize to them. So
Right.
yeah, I just think it's the lack of knowing what it is and that we're supposed to do it too.
Yeah.
But also losing friends,
Yeah.
fear of losing
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
So what people might think of you too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it a step further. I don't think we love people.
No, we don't.
It's true.
What do
I
you
think
mean by that?
evangelism starts with a love of neighbor. It's I love my neighbor. I want him or her to love Jesus. So I'm going to tell them about Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not, yes, it's a duty of, like, Christ commands for us to share the gospel. But it's also not something that we need to do just out of duty. It's out of love. And so when we truly love our neighbor, we're going to be concerned about their soul and their life. And so I think a lack of evangelism is a lack of love for a neighbor. And so when we don't evangelize, I think that reveals our heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna save it for later, but one of the things that
We might die later, John.
I know I don't know if I'll make it till later. It's so hard to speak right now. But it was just talking about that aspect of you love them, and so you want to tell them about them, and it's like the whole thing. When we do get accused, or when we evangelize, people come up to us and they typically say you don't really care about that guy. You just want to have him over for dinner and just play basketball with them to lead them to Christ. And then in the book, it's actually my boss that said that this example, but he was just when people accuse you of that, it's exactly. It's that's why I am having dinner.
Yeah.
I am loving this person because the best thing I could do to them is share them and lead them to Christ. And and that's the ultimate love that you can give is it's their eternity. It's their eternity on the line. So
I think once you're truly saved, you understand what Jesus did on the cross, you understand how hopeless other people are who don't have Christ. You know, apart from Christ, we have no purpose and we have no hope. And when you also realize, like, everybody searches for purpose. That's the one thing that everybody has in common. And so, like I said, people who are truly hopeless have no purpose. If our purpose lied in what we do on earth, it would be meaningless. You know what I mean? Like, we have a greater purpose for our eternity.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great topic of conversation, is just because I've even had conversations with people where they've told me, you know, I don't understand my purpose. And that's the perfect opportunity to be like,
Right.
well, apart from Christ, we have no purpose, you know, and explain what the cross means.
Yeah. I think another misconception or thing, the reason why people don't share about their faith or about Jesus or what they believe in is that they think they have to know every single answer, and you don't. You know, you have to know the gospel, that Jesus, that, you know, in the beginning there was, the God created the world, it was good, but then we as man sinned, and now we're separated from God, but God had a plan to restore all things, and that was Jesus, and that was him coming and to be in our mess and to die in our place on the cross to take away all of our sin. And then he rose again, saying that he was God, right? And that he's coming back one day. So it's like this just basic foundation of the gospel is what you really kind of need to know, you know? And if they ask you a question that you don't, it's okay to humbly say, I don't know. It's much better to say,
Yeah.
I don't know, than you make something up in your head
Yeah.
For sure.
and try to give that answer and say, let's go find out together, or let me go talk to someone and find out, or let me search scripture and see what it says, or hey, come to church with me on Wednesday and we can ask my youth pastor together. You know, it's just humbly ask, you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
trying to make something up.
But again, I hate to be like the negative person, but do we even care about a classmate or a friend even enough to even have those conversations? Like, we can talk about biblically where it's commanded for us to go and share the gospel, Matthew 28. We can talk about that we're empowered. Not only are we sharing a gospel, but we're empowered by the Holy Spirit to be able to do so. And it's not our power. It's not our power that saves people. It's God saving people. We can talk about all that. But if you don't have a concern for someone in your class or one of your neighbors that doesn't know Jesus, if you don't even take the time to just say, do you have a relationship with Jesus? Or maybe even this is pretty harsh. I'm like popped up on spicy food, so I'm ready.
Ready to go.
But do they even know that you follow Jesus?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I think even before you ask the question, they even really love their neighbor, which it's evidence that they don't if they're not sharing the gospel.
Right.
Is, do you love God?
Right.
Because if you don't love God, if you haven't been rocked by him, by what he's done for you, dying in your place, then you have no desire to share that because
Right.
you don't love God. Does that make
Exactly.
sense? Because you're naturally going to share. We naturally share what we're in love with. So we watch an awesome movie, we have to tell everybody about it. We read a good book, we hear some good music, we fall in love with a person, we have to share it all over social media.
We post a selfie because we love
'cause
ourselves.
we love ourselves. we do. We proclaim, we put off what we love. And so let that hit for a moment.
Yeah.
Do I love God enough to share? Like, it should be a natural overflow
Yeah.
of the heart that he's coming out of my mouth.
For sure.
Yeah, it almost, like, it should be easy at that point then to share the gospel and just evangelize if, like, when it's overflowing from your heart. Because I thought about that all the time. Like, when I see, like, my favorite movie or something like that, I'm like, oh, tell all my friends. I'm like, I just got done seeing this movie. You should go watch it.
Nick Cage.
Nick
Cage.
Anything Nick Cage related. but like especially National Treasure 1. But like just after like you watch a movie though, and just like or yeah, just whatever it is so easy to just tell them about it. But I also think that's where it comes in with the fear, because like I am excited, like I do want to tell people about Jesus, but it's like that fear of like, oh, if I tell them, I might lose this friend. And it's like, but if I tell them about a movie, like there's no consequences.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, that's also just coming from the Bible. We're like guaranteed to be persecuted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so whenever, like, I think when we come up with evangelism, we come with persecution. And
Yeah.
that's good, though. That's what we're promised. And we should view persecution as good, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. You should expect pushback.
yeah.
Not because
that's
you're
when you know
approaching
you're
them
doing it.
with like an argument, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna teach you and show you and you know what I mean, evangelize to you. But I mean, yeah, if they're responding
sure.
that way, that's an unhealthy way that you're evangelizing.
Yeah.
What's your next question?
I don't know. You have them up.
Oh, Liz does.
How do we get over a fear of evangelism?
You segued that.
Great segue, John. How do we get over a fear of evangelism?
I think one of the big issues I faced, and I gotta imagine most people do, is it's one of those buzzwords we like to toss around. No one knows what it means whenever you start talking about it. Obviously, some people do.
Yeah.
But it's like, I remember being really humbled in college. People said, explain all of the needed truths of the gospel to like fully articulate it. And I ended up missing a couple, and I thought I was a great Christian. And then, you know, as people keep going in the room, it's like 5% of the Christians there are able to fully say all of the details of the gospel. And so it just showed me that we throw around a lot of these words and assume that we know what we're talking about, because I've heard the word 1,000 times, and yet we have no idea what it really is. And so first we need to look at the life of Jesus, who is the perfect example of what evangelism was and is, and find what our definition is, find what it means to evangelize. And then from there, we can actually go out and do it. I know, like, I wanted to evangelize for a long time, but I thought it was all cold call, to where I had to walk up and shake someone's hand and say, hi, can I tell you about Jesus?
Right.
And I'm not good at that. And there's a place for it.
Yeah.
But, like, I hardly ever did it. And it was because I was fearful and it felt wrong. Like, it felt like I wasn't acting within my actual ministry.
Yeah.
And so then I started to re-gear my view of what evangelism is. And the fear went away in a lot of ways. There's still some, because, I mean, it's a high-stakes thing you're dealing with. But it became more fear that the other person won't believe rather than fear I'll be judged.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one way that you can battle fear is it comes down to, I mentioned it earlier, but where do you believe the power of salvation comes from? If we believe that the power of salvation comes from our ability to persuade someone to be a Christian, then you're going to be a fearful evangelizer.
Yeah. It's a lot of weight.
Yeah. And we would be training people to argue super well.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we believe that the power of salvation came from my ability to persuade you that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, then I would just be sitting here explaining, okay, when they say this, you say this.
Yeah.
When they say this, you say this.
Counterpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but we don't, and so I think we place way too much weight upon what we say and the power of our argument or persuasion of our words, but it's a lot like preaching. One of the things that you learn about when you teach and you preach to people is it's oftentimes the things like sometimes you walk off stage and you're like, yeah, I just hit home run. Like, that was great. And then sometimes you walk off stage and you're like, that was terrible. That was horrific. I don't know if anybody caught what I said. And it's oftentimes in those moments where you're just like, that was terrible. Someone will walk up to you 100% of the time and be like, man, that was such a good lesson. That I really, like, God really used that. And you just sit there and go, all right. It's not in my power of the words. It's God using his word to open the eyes of the heart. And so I think the way we get over the fear of evangelism is taking our eyes off ourselves, off our arguments. Not that argument doesn't matter, but it's not the final nail in the coffin.
It becomes very moralistic that way.
Yes.
I think for me, what helped the most is just, and kind of going like off you said, like it's not your own doing. You just have to be faithful in that area.
Yeah.
That's what you're called to do. But in a big way, I think it's important to realize the weight that evangelism has, though, because it's our job we're called to go tell others, and we're called to evangelize. So when we realize that the weight that evangelism has and what it holds for someone's eternity, then it shouldn't be something we fear. Like if we realize that this is someone's eternity on the line, like that shouldn't, like we should be more scared to not share than to share if we realize the weight that evangelizing has.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite verses is just Romans 10:14-15. I don't know if you were going to hit on it later, but just like it's how then will they call on him in whom they not heard, or they've not believed, and how are they to believe in him on whom they've not heard, and how are they to hear without someone preaching, and then how are they preach unless someone's sent, and as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. So like it talks about the importance, this verse talks about the importance of missions first off, but it also talks about the importance of evangelism too.
Yeah.
Like if we don't tell people about the gospel, then how will they believe?
Yeah.
And just realizing that weight that we have to share. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's more fearful not to share to me when I think about it like that.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. It's a great motivator. Like,
Yeah.
You're talking about if I truly love God and I understand it and I'm saved, then I'm going to love my neighbor and out of the overflow of me loving God. And if I love my neighbor well, I'm going to think, okay, this, maybe me not sharing determines their eternity.
Yeah.
And again, that weight's not necessarily me. I just have to be obedient to say the words, and then I rely on the Holy Spirit to do the work in that person's heart to save them. And that's not my job. My job is just to say the words, to be obedient, to open my mouth out of love for them.
That's like my favorite things. My favorite stories I hear in college are like the new believers that are in college, and like they get baptized, they're born again, and then they're just like, all right, who to tell?
Right.
Like they're the most eager to. And it's just like, I feel like, I mean, for the most part, like just people that have grown up in the church, we kind of grown up with this idea. And so I don't know, I feel like it's just one of those things that we've heard, like what Bryce was saying, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
you're good.
it's oftentimes, and when I want to get to this in just a second, the elements of evangelism. But oftentimes when you explain to someone the pure, unfiltered gospel, they don't know it.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about someone who's been churched.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like when you start to talk about the unmerited grace that we're given through the sacrificial death of Christ, and you start to explain that it's not by our own good, it's not how good we are, it's solely for the gift, it's through the blood of Christ that we're saved, and that we're made for a relationship with God, that we're found, like we're restless until we find rest in him, as Augustine says. People don't know that. People are most likely pinning some sort of religion that they've heard from their parents or they've seen that's about morality, it's about do's and don'ts, but they don't know the pure, unfiltered gospel. And I think a lot of the times, especially in our bubbles, we assume.
We do.
We assume that because someone knows about Jesus, we assume they know the way of Jesus.
Honestly, so we all graduated from Van Alstyne High School, VA all the way. And my senior year is really when the Lord started to shake my faith and make it more real. And I understood the gospel better my senior year, and it was like out of the overflow of my heart that I just started talking about it a lot. But what I didn't understand, a misconception, was like everyone in Van Alstyne, although they may say they're churched or maybe not, I just assumed in my head everyone in VA are Christians. And like you're saying, that's so not true. So out of the overflow of my heart, I would just be reading my Bible, talking about what I learned that day, or bringing up any sort of Jesus conversation I could that I understood as a new believer. And by doing so, on the bus to softball games, I had no idea that these two sisters that I honestly didn't even know they were from the north. They like moved in high school to our school, and they didn't know Jesus. They had no idea. They didn't own a Bible, but I just assumed, and I was just talking about him. And so that sparked conversations because I just was spouting stuff off, assuming they would know. And then they, in turn, started trusting in Christ because of that. So it's just, you don't know how God's going to work. And you can't assume that people know what I can't assume that you guys know what we're talking about. So we'll explicitly lay out kind of what we're talking about with truths, what you should share.
And also, like, kind of what you were saying, how everybody in Van Alstyne knows, who Jesus is. We had this conversation, like, a while back about, it was right after I came back from Harding. I was kind of talking about how moralistic everybody was and how, they're the Bible Belt, and we're still called to even evangelize to other Christians. And I remember you said, who's harder to evangelize to? Somebody who doesn't know Christ and has no hope, or somebody who thinks that they're saved?
Yeah. That's the age-old question, because you have to understand it's really hard because you want to be humble and you're not trying to judge. Like, I'm not going to go up and judge someone's heart. I don't know their heart. But again, that goes back to loving the person, not who they want to be or who they, excel to, all that. It's who they are at that moment, And I think we oftentimes want to expect people to adopt a Christian way of life or moralism without following Christ. And that's a problem. Like, we want to, this person does this, they hit all the right marks, so you just maybe assume. Or you're just saying, hey, you should act a certain way. But they don't know Jesus, and their hearts haven't been regenerated to even follow in the ways of Jesus. And so with evangelism, it goes like just all-encompassing of what we talked about. It's about declaring a message of hope, like Liz has said, to a people that need hope, whether they're aware of it or not. And so I think one of the kind of going back to the balance of word and action, I think one of the hardest things, or the thing that probably will draw most attention to yourself, is when you do the action, when you live a life of pursuing holiness in the in the sphere of people that maybe think they're following Christ, but they're not.
Yeah.
And in my experience, and this is not to condemn anybody or anything like that, my experience is those types of people will push back against you because they feel like they're being threatened. Like, wait, I thought we were the same, right? And that's where you can lovingly go, hey, let me tell you about this gospel. Let me tell you about this Jesus guy. And you, over and over, just reinforce. So, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of different caveats in this conversation.
There are. I think one of the best ways to reach people, too, is through suffering. Nobody wants to suffer for no reason, and kind of showing them that there's a greater there's a greater purpose behind your suffering. You know,
Yeah.
everybody, that's one thing everybody has in common. We all
Yeah.
go through some kind of suffering in
Yeah.
our life.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. I think that sharing your testimony is a way that, why don't we do that? You know,
Right.
like, why don't we share our
Right.
testimonies
It's so
more?
important to be vulnerable. with
Vulnerable.
people. Yeah.
You have to be humble enough and transparent to be able to lay out, I was this way, and then the Lord saved me and transformed my life. And now I walk in the Lord, in Christ. And let me tell you what he did for me and how he's changed my life. And it's evidence of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you start. I think it's an easy way to start a conversation about Christ, by you being vulnerable enough to share, I'm a sinner, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that I'm high and mighty. I am just like you, a sinner in need of grace.
And isn't at the core, isn't what the gospel applied to our lives, isn't that change? Like,
Yeah.
when the gospel applies to our hearts, doesn't that produce change?
Right.
And so if you're not sharing that with people, like, hey, here's how I've changed over the past 6 months, year, and it's not like a metric of like, hey, here's how I lie less. But that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
I did lie less.
But that's it's not because I lie less that God loves me.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's because God loves me and I've realized that. Now I'm lying less.
Yeah.
Right.
And
By the
so
Spirit
by the Spirit's
transforming my heart.
transformation. And so let's talk about this idea of like what is exactly like what are the elements of evangelism that make it evangelism, because evangelism isn't just sharing your testimony. That's part of it. That could be part of it, but sharing your testimony doesn't make up, like, that doesn't just make it evangelism. So what is the elements of,
You're about to answer it.
I know. I
You're
was
about
like,
to- you're
just
about to go on the
someone
whole
else talk.
spiel.
You can say it, Jade.
No, it's okay. Go for it. Every time I talk, just the spice just goes around my mouth.
Mine's
so
actually
it's
gone
terrible.
away a lot. My mouth is blistered now.
I
though.
still feel it, and I
Yeah.
feel like my tongue is getting numb.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you. I don't even
So,
care.
Me?
Yeah.
what are the specifics that you must share with others for it to be true evangelism?
Yeah.
So, to the core, what is evangelism and
Right.
what makes it
Yes.
evangelism?
Yes.
Do we want to know what Webster says?
Yeah.
It just says to preach the gospel to convert to Christianity.
Okay.
Okay. It's good.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
leave that there for everybody to
This
pick
says
up on.
the spreading of the Christian gospel by public preaching or personal witness.
Mm.
Same thing, but I like the witness part.
Yeah, the witness part is good.
Can I get a witness?
Can I get a witness? Yeah.
I've always viewed it as just like I'm always a bit hesitant to make it sound like it has to be me preaching from a pulpit or something. Because I used to view evangelism as me speaking at Fields of Faith or something like that.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I can only evangelize if I'm speaking at Fields
Yeah.
of Faith.
Yeah.
And so the definition that I ended up, it's not finished, but settling on enough for now, is when you intentionally gear your words and actions around teaching the gospel to another person.
Okay.
And this may look like clearly articulating it, so just saying every detail of the gospel,
Yeah.
or you're gradually building up to it.
Sure.
But it's like what you're doing in that moment is intentioned to either then or one day directly articulate the gospel to that person
Right.
and have them come to be a Christ follower.
Yeah, I think just a big misconception for evangelism is just that I think a lot of people do view it as a one-time thing. I can't remember if we hit on it earlier or not. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if we said this earlier or not.
Spice in the brain.
Yeah, it's hazy up there.
Spice in the brain.
But yeah, just a lot of what we do in College Station is just like going through college was befriending international students. And you can, I'm not saying you can't, but like the best thing that worked for us was to love them first. to
Right.
be their friends first,
Yeah.
to build a relationship with them. And then, I mean, for, like, you can kind of just bring it up. Like, for us, every spiritual conversation we've had with an international student has been them, like, coming up and, like, bringing it up. Like, they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So evangelism, yeah, like Bryce was saying, just like it's intentional time towards that. Like it could be like one moment. It could be that. It also
Yeah.
could be a 6-month long process.
Probably more often than not, it's
Yeah.
a slow burn building a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, that's it.
Just something that I've learned recently is just like, shoot.
You can do it.
No, sorry, I had it and then Bryce and I talked.
You've
and I
just
lost
learned
it.
so much. You just gotta pick
I've
something.
learned so much.
That's right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk
Yeah,
for a second.
keep
I forgot it. Bryce
Just interrupt me when you
Bryce
think about
forgot
it.
me.
I think we like to just say like evangelism is sharing your faith,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
But then thinking of it more deeply, I think, like you're saying, it could be a relationship that I'm building with someone so that I can share the gospel with them, share what Jesus has done on our behalf, right?
Yeah.
Or that can include like, hey, do you have a testimony, or do you know God, or what do you know about God, or maybe asking questions. I think the best way to start a conversation about the gospel, to share it, is by just asking questions.
Yeah.
Like that's not a hard thing. And so you start having this back and forth conversation, and you see Jesus do that a lot.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
The woman at the well, like several times of just him. Every time was unique too. He didn't share the gospel one specific way every single time.
Yeah. Paul
was-
too.
Paul, yes, you're building a relationship with someone and you say something, you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, if that's where we're starting, I'll be like, well, let me tell you about my testimony, you know what I mean, first. And so I'll lay out my testimony of how the Lord's changed my life. And then I can, through my testimony, my specific one, I can lay out the gospel and
Yeah.
what it is.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's a way. Spending the night at your friend's house, what an easy way to get on a gospel conversation. It's not hard.
You're stuck with them.
You just have to be obedient.
Can't get away.
You have to be intentional with your questions. So you got to get
Yeah.
off your phone.
Yeah.
You got to get off of what you're, playing video games and for a minute and ask
Which
questions.
goes back to why we're even talking about this. It's a habit. It's a discipline. It's like prayer.
Yeah.
It's like reading your Bible. It's like everything that we've talked about. It's something that you have to bring to mind and be intentional about.
Yeah.
No one ever slips into evangelizing.
Right.
It's something that you have to think about.
Yeah.
And I think going back to, you kind of hit on it, Lexi, but what is the gospel? The gospel, by its very definition, is good news, right? Evangelion. That's what good news is. It's this idea of news that's good, that needs to be proclaimed. And just like John said from Romans 10, you proclaim that through your words. And what are the essential elements within evangelism that have to be proclaimed to make it good news? Why is the news good? It's that we were dead in our sin, that we have a Savior that came, lived a perfect life, died the death that we should have died, and raised to life, defeating death. And when we trust in him, all of our sin is forgiven, we're made righteous, and we get to live eternally with him. So you have to have those elements within your gospel presentation, within your evangelism, to be able to call it evangelism. And so you can segue however, like thousands of different ways, millions of different ways, saying, hey, this is the way I was before I knew Christ. I was a liar, I was a deceiver, I used people, I was jealous. But here's how Christ changed me. And he changed me because he lived the life I should have lived. He died a death that I should have died. And by his Spirit coming, he's changed my life. And here's how he's changed my life. And here's how he can change yours.
Right.
And so you can weave in and out of your story to make it evangelism. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you can't leave out Jesus
Yeah.
because you don't have good news without him.
Right.
So a clear gospel
Yeah.
presentation.
Well, and you can even say that as well.
Yeah.
Like, well, just so we're on the same page here, let me tell you what I believe the gospel is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
Lay it out.
Yeah. And that's
Just because
and that's
you
what I talked
can't-
about
you can't-
earlier.
Yeah, you can't assume that somebody knows what. When I say Jesus, God, the gospel, church, that our minds are thinking the same thing. So let me just quickly explain what I believe the gospel is. What
Yeah.
I believe that my Bible is telling me.
And let them stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ask me questions
Yeah.
whenever you need to.
Because a lot of us are like, yeah, there's this Jesus guy and he was on the cross and then he died, and it's like
Stick to
just
the
like, hold on,
script.
let me get my spiel out. Hold on,
Yeah.
let them ask questions, let them stop you.
Yeah.
And so that's important to talk about, because we have to know, like with evangelism, you have to talk about Jesus. You have to talk about the cross.
Yeah.
You have to talk about death.
Mm.
Sorry. Death. Jeez, dude. Death, not only
This came up.
Christ's death, but how we are dead in our sins.
Yeah.
All right, so would you say what we talked about last time with meta-narrative, that we need to follow that kind of script?
Sure. But don't make it too, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very complicated way of doing it, for sure. But that's the great,
I think I said it earlier.
you did it. Yeah, sure. But I'm saying, like, I feel like sometimes if we put that much pressure on students, it might be like, I don't know what meta-narrative is. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
I understand, yeah.
No, practically, I would say, and I've challenged students to do this before, and it's always fun for me because they get nervous and they stop and they're like, I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. Pull out your phone, get on the little voice recorder app, and in 3 minutes or less, it can be 30 seconds, articulate the gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And then count how many ums or and I think and things like that are in there. And I was challenged to do that, and it was convicting
sure.
because it's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden I don't really know anymore because I thought I
For
knew,
sure.
but as soon as someone says, "Okay, do it,"
Yeah.
it's gone. And
Yeah.
that's because you never really knew it in the first place. And
Yeah.
so
That's good.
whether it be just like 8 bullet points in your journal, or typing into your phone, or talking into your phone, or something like that,
Yeah.
actually just lay it out.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is, work up to one of these conversations and then be like, what is the gospel? I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
man.
Yeah.
that's the worst thing that could
Yeah.
happen right
Yeah.
then. And so really just lay it out for yourself, do yourself a favor. And then I found that a lot of the fear started to go away
Right.
too.
Yeah. Preparation.
Yeah.
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 So,
Prepare, yes.
Yeah.
You can't walk into the game unprepared.
right.
Yeah. It is a sense of just being faithful, but yeah, you also, it's one of those things where you have to prepare.
Mhm.
Like if I were to pray and then to make good grades and not study at all, it's
Right.
not gonna work.
No.
But yeah, I also just think people nowadays, me included, when I was first learning about evangelism, was just like, I think we get caught up in the methods of how to evangelize. And like
Yeah.
you were saying, there's so many ways. There's like the testimony, like you before Christ, like the gospel after
Yeah.
Christ, stuff like that.
So many acronyms.
Yeah, there's like, gosh, Christians have so many acronyms.
So many.
But yeah, we just get caught up in the different methods instead of just really honestly focusing on one thing, and that is just presenting the gospel.
Right.
And you can choose whatever method you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't even would call it a method.
Yeah.
Just call it talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we get caught up in that.
I do too. What I love is I think back to like when I would share the gospel of what I knew, and I shared what I knew about God. We don't have to overcomplicate it. I think that you should lay out the gospel. I think we should train
Sure.
ourselves. I
Yeah.
think we should really truly know
Sure.
the gospel, and holistically, like the whole thing. But for you as a 7th grade boy, you might not know it all. Keep coming back, keep
You
learning.
don't know it all.
You don't. Keep coming to church. We teach you faithfully the gospel.
Yep.
But maybe it's that Jesus loves me, and I know this because Scripture has told me.
The Bible told me so.
Because the Bible told me so. The Scripture has told me this, that He's
Nice.
died He's died on the cross. You know that.
Yeah.
That's what you share. Like on the way here, I asked Andy and Elle. Elle said nothing, but Andy, like, what do you
Shocker.
know about God? And she just started telling me what she knew about God,
Yeah.
and she told me some pretty deep things. I was like, yes, sister, that's great, and that's what you faithfully share, what you know.
Yeah.
Listen, memorize John 3:16 and 17,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
and then tell them.
Mm-hmm.
that's true.
And so as we close here, here's kind of the challenge that I would bring to you. Number one, when's the last time you shared the gospel? Ask yourself that question. Okay? And if it's never, then set a goal by the end of the month to say, I'm going to share the gospel with 2 people. 2 people. And they could be a friend.
Yeah.
Use where God has placed you for God's glory.
Yeah.
What teams are you on? What class are you in? What friend group are you in? What is God how has God gifted you? Are you in the band? Are you an academic head? Are you an athlete? What teams are you on?
Yeah.
And use that platform to share Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, I would challenge you, if you're a Christian, do people around you know that you're a Christian? Like, is that a reputation that you have? Is that the way people know you? Because if not, that needs to be known.
Yeah.
And not in a, you're not going to walk into school with a mask on in
Holier than
August and
thou.
go,
Yeah.
take it off and say, I am a Christian. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
COVID.
It's the way that you live. It's the way that you love. Christ says that people will know that you are my disciples, not by what you stand for, not by what you're against, not about what you do or don't do. It's by the way you love. That's what he says. And so, do people know that you're a believer? Do people know that you're a Christ follower by the way that you love? And if not, then it doesn't mean that you're not a Christian. It means that you need to recognize that blind spot
Yeah.
and change. And so that's kind of that's the challenge today. Okay, evangelism needs to be intentional. It's a discipline that we need to think about and push ourselves in. It's hard.
Can I ask you one question before we stop? Sorry.
Yes.
So, because we teach the gospel here every week,
Right.
would you say a good way to even start your evangelism conversation with your friend is by asking them to come to church?
Yes.
Then you go.
Church is a great place.
Church is a great place, right? Inviting them to church.
Yeah.
They show up for a Wednesday night, they hear the gospel, and you leave and say, what stuck out?
What'd you think about that?
What'd you think about that? Do you have any questions? What would be your questions?
Right.
And
Come to day camp.
come to camp. Yes.
Yeah.
Come to church with me. Come, like, if you, it's just a great way to start the conversation
Yeah.
for you.
Absolutely. So that's all we got. So take our challenges. Let us know how you did, how we can pray for you, and how we can help you. Okay?
A good practical step if you're scared to share, find a Christian that you know and trust. Like maybe it's your parents.
Yeah.
Say, hey, can I talk to you for 2 minutes? I want to practice this.
Yeah.
That's a great way to start.
Yeah.
Like just, get your feet wet with it.
Yeah. And I'll say this: there's four students that went with us to Dominican 2 years ago. Austin, Allie, Kerrigan, and Emma. And for I think they were kind of intimidated the first week or the first day because part of our day was 3 hours of evangelism.
Yeah.
3 hours. And I was sitting there going, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And by the end of the week, all 4 of them, it was like it wasn't enough time. And they realized that how natural it really was to just strike up a conversation. And that was the cold call evangelism where you're just walking up to people and talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, what if we did that every day? Like, what if there was somebody that you just went and talked to them every single day and you're just like,
Yeah.
tell me about, like, I'm going to tell them about Jesus today. Like, and you're like a gnat.
Yeah. My last thing is just, that's what was in the book I'm reading. It's just been so convicting. It's like, it talked about how you view where you're at and where you're placed as a mission field.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you think about it, a week-long trip to the Dominican or wherever it may be, you are there, and when you're at that trip, your full purpose and focus is to live out the gospel,
Right.
and to love others.
You have a plan every single day.
You have plan. You wake up and you're like, I want to read my Bible. You're like, I want to tell others about Jesus.
Yep.
Everything, and then it's like when you come back, does that go away?
You
Like,
shouldn't lose that.
And that's like the biggest thing is, if you intentionally view high school, middle school, college, whatever it may be, as your mission field,
Yeah.
you should want to go out every day
Yeah.
and somehow love somebody or somehow evangelize to somebody.
Absolutely.
So that
Yeah,
was just
that's
super convicting to me, is viewing where you're at now as the mission. Like, you don't have to be overseas to be in a mission field.
Yeah.
Where you're at now is your mission field.
Yeah.
Like, middle schoolers can't be overseas right now unless your parents moved you overseas.
And you have to think, like, if you can share the gospel with someone that you don't know in another country, and you can't share the gospel with your classmate in algebra, then that tells you a little bit about who you care about, right? And so,
they told us in college, it's like, if you don't do it now, who would say you would do it when you go overseas?
Yeah.
It's like, if you can't do it now, how can we trust you to tell a random stranger overseas?
Yeah.
So
I want to change my answer from the hot ones. Like, how would I?
That's mine. I took it.
No,
That's my answer.
no. What?
I never answered that question.
Oh, what I would do differently in school? I'd probably share the gospel more. So
Nice.
I wasn't good at it,
Nice.
but
I would say view it as my mission field.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna try to find the
Yeah,
two.
I was gonna mention
Yeah.
that Bible Project. We'll send them out,
Okay.
but
On Instagram
as we
live.
as we end
or Instagram story.
as we end here, make sure you sign up for our day camp. It's coming up on the 20th. We have some really good stuff planned. I think we'll be here on campus from 5 to 9 on Monday and Tuesday, and then we're gonna head to Lake Texoma on Wednesday. We got a couple boats. We rented some paddle boards, tubing and stuff like that. But we also rented. We did a silent disco, which I don't know if you've ever heard of silent discos, but you can just YouTube it. Everybody gets their own headsets, and we're going to go outside, and you get to listen to the same music and dance and awkward. We're going to have social distancing circles. So it's like a social distance disco, okay?
Social distance.
Silent disco.
SDSD.
Nice. So, and then on Monday night, we're going to have a scavenger hunt around downtown. We've been planning some good stuff for that as well. So make sure you join us for that couple days. It'll be a good couple days. We'll be looking forward to just hanging out with you guys. So hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next week. Hopefully, I'll put out stuff of what we're doing next week if we can meet, hopefully. But hope to see you guys soon.
Bye.
Peace out. I
Bye.
got to go. It's
Bye
going to be a
forever.
second. I got to go around and get off. My mouth is still hot.
Oh, John's last week. Aw.
Legit last
Legit.
You guys,
I've been,
John's last week.
I've been saying this since March.
I feel like there's been
It's a real
Yeah,
last week.
Ben and them, that crew has made fun of me for that, because I've been saying this since March, but
And me.
He's really leaving.
and Bryce. But yeah, peacing out of here.
I remember the first time you left, and then the next day you're like,
Bye, you
I was
guys.
back.
yeah.